March 28, 2019. I remember rampantly tapping the screen, waiting for the UC Berkeley portal to load during my last class of the day. UC Berkeley was my dream school, so to say I was anxious would be an understatement. I remember standing in the middle of the hallway and finally reading the word. Congratulations. But after the euphoria and excitement died down, I thought to myself, why Berkeley? You see, deciding the next 4 years of your life at the ripe age of 18 years old is no easy task.
Okay, that's it. Oh, wait, I wanted to yeah.
My name is Dulce.
I'm Urvi.
My name is Ashley or Ash.
And my name is Shachi. Hello, my name is Victoria. I'm Alondra.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeankarlo Canizares.
Hi, my name is Maddi.
I am from the Bay Area originally. I am currently going to graduate college and seeing what options are out there. I'm a second year studying business and data science. I'm part of the global management program, also known as GMP. I'm also an out-of-state student, and on campus, I'm involved with business careers and entertainment club and Diaspora Tech.
I'm a sophomore studying cognitive science and business. I'm a Regents and Chancellor Scholar, and in my free time I like to do art, I like to go thrifting, I like to go bouldering, and I'm also part of a couple of student organizations on campus. I'm part of BCEC, which is the Business Careers and Entertainment Club, and I'm also in an a cappella group called Artists in Resonance.
Currently, I am a second year at Cal. I'm intended business administration, potentially a media studies double major, but we'll see about that. I'm also minoring in global studies, and I'm trying to receive my certificate in design innovation during my time here. Yeah, I'm originally not from California. I'm from New Jersey, but I'm happy I'm at Berkeley. I'm a sophomore. I'm studying media studies and data science. But I actually just dropped data science, so I'm still deciding on my second minor. My whole thing is sort of marketing. That's sort of what I'm going for. Digital marketing, product development. That's sort of what I'm exploring right now. And I make a ton of videos, which is sort of how me and Andrea know each other, or bonded over, because we both make videos. I'm a transfer student. I'm also Peruvian, so I'm in that great in between of being international or just transfer, because I only moved here for my senior year of high school. That's kind of pretty much where I come from. I'm a film and media studies major, and ever since transferring here, I've been focusing on a lot of things that are not really very film or media and production wise kind of thing. I kind of went through the business side and also magazines.
I am a fourth year transfer student from Los Angeles. More specifically, I attended Pasadena City College. I came into Berkeley fall 2021 as a psychology major. A little bit about me is I do a little bit of content creation about education, lifestyle, fashion, music festivals. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I am currently a second year here at UC Berkeley. I'm studying political science and Asian American Asian diaspora studies, and some things that I'm really passionate about are sports, social justice, and media. I love to do video and photography. Aside from school, I'm a part of BCEC, or Business Careers and Entertainment Club, with the lovely Andrea. And I'm also in a club called ROHP that hosts incoming Regent Scholars at UC Berkeley, and I do research at the law school. But yeah, those are my main commitments right now.
No. No, because going from high school, a lot of people in my community were going out, leaving the state, even leaving the country, so I felt compelled and pressured to do the same. I felt like the culture around college is to leave your family to become independent. Growing up close to my family, I think, made it difficult to make that decision, and I think Berkeley felt safe in that sense. But I didn't. I was hesitant because of those social pressures.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Northern Virginia, so if I'm going to be honest, I definitely thought I'd land with an East Coast school as my final decision. And it was a really hard decision to make just because I think I applied to I only applied to UCLA and UC Berkeley in the West Coast. Those are the only West Coast schools I applied to. And in my opinion, that was kind of like a dream at the time. But realistically, I definitely thought I would stay in the East Coast. But I think the global management program at Berkeley really pushed me to choose Berkeley just because I loved the program. I loved what it had to offer. I honestly thought it was a really good fit for me, and I was really excited about the study abroad portion.
Yeah, definitely. My brother went to UC Berkeley. I always knew I was going to apply, and I applied to most of the UCs. Berkeley was actually the first university that accepted me. I remember just getting like a message in my email, and I thought that I had done something wrong for the application, so I opened it up and it was like, congrats, you're accepted, and I was so excited. And I guess that always stuck with me because even when I was doing my decisions, the fact that Berkeley accepted me first and considered me for like the scholarship that I was up for, it just made me feel really like happy that they really wanted me to come. So yeah, Berkeley was always a school that I really wanted to go to.
So Berkeley actually for such a long time had been my dream school. So I knew I was going to apply to it, but I didn't think I would actually get in. So it's really surreal being here, actually.
No! Like, I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and all the Berkeley students have the same story. But basically, you know, because the UC app is just one, and I knew I wanted to apply to UCLA regardless for me, because UCLA is sort of slay. And UC Berkeley was there too. And I was like, okay, UCLA, UC Berkeley, let's just submit it. And then I applied, and yeah, I got into both, and now I'm here. So no, it wasn't my decision. Like, I didn't even know like UC Berkeley. What to expect. Or like I didn't do any research at all into Berkeley when I applied. I just picked it, and then I only like realized what it was and did research after I got in.
I didn't know that UC Berkeley was a good school. So I'm Peruvian, so I transferred here and I thought that any university was gonna be good. I moved to California, so I was like, oh, a UC has to be where I go. But to be honest, I just wanted to go to school, and I didn't apply thinking going to UC Berkeley. I just also put UC Berkeley into one of the UC's things because my stepdad last minute was like, oh, you should apply to UC Berkeley. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I never heard about it, and then I got in.
UC Berkeley wasn't actually at the top. It was definitely at the top, but like my dream school was definitely UCLA. So UCLA was my top school because I've always grown up in LA. I just wanted to stay close home to my friends. I come from a single mother household, so I know my mom definitely wanted me to stay in the area when low-key I was like trying to get away. But then I got into all the schools that I applied to but UCLA. So I was really bummed out, but I think everything happens for a reason. I'm actually glad that I chose UC Berkeley. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't change anything. I've definitely loved everything leading up till now, but now I could say that Berkeley has a special place in my heart, and I'm definitely very happy to be here.
Honestly, no. I'm from the Bay Area. I grew up in Fremont, which is around 40 minutes away from Berkeley, and my dad went to Berkeley. All of his siblings went to Berkeley, and all of their spouses went to Berkeley. So my family's been a really big Cal family. And honestly, I wanted to go to the East Coast, but I ended up coming here because Berkeley offered me the most, I'd say, and it was also a really great school for my major. And I didn't think it was gonna be like, I guess I thought it was gonna be too close to home, but I actually really like it here. It's actually one of the choices that I don't regret at all. I really do like it here.
I came to the realization that I wasn't going to do what everyone else was doing, and that I wasn't ready to leave my family at the right age of 18, and I wanted to experience college and college life in a way that where I could stay close to family, and that's what I ended up doing, is like staying at home, living at home, and commuting, which also saved me money, which was great.
I remember when I was filling out my UC Berkeley application, and there was just like some check boxes on majors, and I just saw global management program, business, and that was the only one that said like business and study abroad. So I just clicked the box not knowing what it was for. But later on I did get an email about asking like add a supplement and then do a video interview, and I was like, okay, let's just do it and see what happens. And it really worked out. I am really grateful for it, and I think one of the pros with the global management program is that you are direct admit into Haas already as a freshman. And I think since I'm from Virginia, my in-state school at the time that I was looking at was UVA. And with UVA, you have to apply to the business school after 1 or 2 years of undergrad first. I think having that sense of security with UC Berkeley was a really good thing to keep in mind for me.
I would definitely say that seeing my brother go to UC Berkeley, I feel like when he came back from being at Berkeley, like that first winter break when he came back, he was so much more like happy, like he seemed more like organized, like he just seemed like Berkeley really changed him, like I guess in a good way. I also really liked that Berkeley wasn't too close to home. I like a lot of the universities I applied to were the UCs, and so like UCLA or UCI, they were all very close to my home, which is in LA County. UC Berkeley would be challenging both for like, you know, learning to become an adult and to be a little bit far from home, but not to the point where I'd be paying like a humongous out-of-state tuition, like for some New York schools that I got in. Berkeley was a really perfect medium with actually growing into my adulthood, but also not paying in like enormous amount, and also just like being challenging in like academic sense. A lot of people that I really respected also went to Berkeley, so I thought it was a great place to be.
I guess I first was really, we hear a lot about Berkeley, I think because of its academic prowess. It's like proximity to the Bay Area, like allows students with so many different opportunities, and I just knew like all the students here are so smart and so capable and so talented. But I actually had a really good family friend of mine. Both of our dads went to college together, so we've known each other for years. She actually went to Berkeley, and just seeing like, I think the difference in her before and after coming here, it made me really inspired too. I feel like she was so much more passionate, and I'm really close to her. Like she's a sister figure in my life too. So just witnessing the change in her, and also just like, I think how much happier I saw her after she came to Berkeley, it kind of made me inspired, like, oh, you know, maybe my life could change, like I could have more opportunities, and like I think life would just be better if I came to the school too. I started looking into a lot of the programs and things like that. I don't know, I think I just really had a vision of Berkeley, like of just coming to California in general. It just really made me want to apply myself and just like try to get into the school.
So my top 3 choices, it was UCLA, it was UC Berkeley, and there was also Barnard College in like New York, so like it was like Columbia. At the time, I wanted to be a political science major, so UC Berkeley just had the best program out of all of them. Because like the whole media studies, because I'm media studies, and content creation thing, I didn't start until like the summer before I got to university, right? So later on, I was like, oh, I want to do media studies. I was like, fuck, I should go to UCLA then for like media and advertising, communications, stuff like that. But at the time, it was because political science, and I was sort of nerdy. I wanted like to be academically rigorous. Not saying UCLA and Barnard are academically rigorous, but like Berkeley sort of has that like reputation, I guess.
By the time that I got accepted into Berkeley, I was only, I think, 3 years in America. And the only place that I ever visited was Southern California, because I moved to California and I was living in Southern California. So I was like, well, UC Berkeley is far. It's very nice. I really like also the environment, because it's a university in a city. I really like that kind of like, oh, I can go to class and also have a life outside and kind of like have the best of both worlds. And then when I was researching for my major, I knew that I wanted to do film, but I wanted to do to the business side of film, because that's just like what I want to do. The other universities that got into were more production based, and even though production is something that I'm always on a lot because I've done it for so often, I knew that like for a school, the experience that I wanted was to get a different network, like focusing on different things. And then at the end, I think also it's because UC Berkeley really helped me financially. That was a huge win for me, because being first gen, my parents and I, we only moved to the country so recently. I didn't have the means to go to college by paying out of pocket. Like that was gonna be impossible. So that was a blessing that I was able to like make it work with the finances.
The reason why I chose UC Berkeley, I think they gave the best financial aid in my opinion. I also chose UC Berkeley because it is a very well-known institution. It's one of the top public universities, definitely up there with the Ivy League. So You know, definitely coming back from a first generation background. My mom didn't really know what UC Berkeley was, but she knew what UCLA was because it was just like in our hometown. So I had to kind of explain to my mom, like, Mom, like UC Berkeley is like a very top school, you know? So she wasn't really aware about how like academia worked or like higher education. And the main reason why I chose UC Berkeley is actually because I received a package in the mail and I was like, wow, like the school like noticed me as an individual, like especially as like one transfer student out of like a very big pool of other students. I just felt seen and I got a little care package. I was like, wow, like I feel cared for. So definitely financial aid. I also chose UC Berkeley because maybe it was a sign that like I needed to get out of my hometown and explore a new city, like the San Francisco Bay Area, Berkeley, Oakland. I think everything happens for a reason. I think if I stayed home and went to UCLA, I'd be going home all the time, hanging out with my friends, not making new opportunities or meeting new people. UC Berkeley was definitely my top choice because the other schools were either UC Santa Barbara or UC San Diego. I previously also went to San Diego State freshman year, fall semester, but quickly left because I was undeclared, just taking GEs. I could have gone to community college straight out of high school, gotten a head start. It was just really expensive and I wasn't really sure what to do with my life. But yeah, I didn't want to return to San Diego, and Santa Barbara was not a city area. Yeah, there's a beach, but I'm definitely a city person, and Berkeley has San Francisco right there, Oakland right there, and also Berkeley as well.
I chose UC Berkeley primarily because of the scholarship that they offered me, but also because of my major, I'd say. So I didn't want to study business. However, I applied to business like pretty much like all the other schools that I got into. And like, I was like, oh no, like now I'm kind of stuck. And like, I took a class over like the spring and summer at UPenn about like, I guess like finance and negotiations. And then I was just kind of like, oh, I don't really know if that's what I want to do. And Berkeley was one of the schools that applied when you apply, you don't declare your major right away. But second of all, I applied like intending to major in poli-sci, and I always knew that I wanted to become a lawyer. I was considering like getting a JD MBA at the end if I studied business, but I guess like I realized that just wasn't really my passion. Coming to Berkeley, knowing the history of like all the social justice and like also what they offered me, it really drew me to the school. But I'd say like the reason why I really do like it and the reason why I stayed is because of the people that I meet every day. They're just they all have such amazing stories, and I think that's just one of my favorite things.
I think like I shared before, I started as an architecture major. I was already in the major, like going in. There was no like application process. It was just a matter of selecting, and that's because the major wasn't impacted. I think getting to a point my first semester where I quickly realized that I wasn't doing the classes and I did safety training was incredibly tough because I felt like my whole plan was crumbling. I mean, I just had that feeling that I knew I needed to pivot, but I was scared to do so myself. Because one, I didn't know where I would pivot, two, just feeling like I didn't have a plan. And I was just trying to figure out how to navigate Berkeley, coming from a small high school into a big university.
I can actually think of two separate things. The first is imposter syndrome. I think regardless of the school you go to, it can seem inevitable to go through that, especially if you're someone who does compare yourself to other people a lot. And what I like to do is take a step back and I imagine my younger self and kind of ask, like, what would my younger self be proud of me today? Like, the things that you've accomplished. It's really hard to stop comparing yourself to others, but you should be really proud of your achievements for that. I think what I learned is that it's okay for you to reach out first. You don't have to always wait for someone else to. And there will always be someone who's willing to spend time with you on campus, especially with UC Berkeley. It's such a big and diverse campus. You'll always find someone who has your interests. And the second thing is obviously as an out-of-state student, like I'd get homesick. I'd miss my friends from the East Coast. And it can be challenging at times. You can feel a little homesick and that might also add on to the loneliness. There's always going to be people on campus. Don't be afraid to reach out and have calls with your friends away from you.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of us go through that, but we just don't talk about it that much, if that makes sense. Because Berkeley is such like a big school that like when you come in here first, you feel like so overwhelmed and like you feel like you're not gonna make new friends and you're like alone and stuff.
Yeah, my freshman fall semester was tough. I don't know if it's the toughest, but I will say it was hard to adjust to the new environment, to make friends, but also to handle new academic pressures. I remember there was one particular math class that I struggled with a lot. It was a calculus class, and I hadn't taken a calculus class of that caliber, and I hadn't done that kind of math since my junior year of high school. It was hard to jump back in. I remember going to my first class, and I had no idea what the professor was talking about, so I was just really stressed, and I remember telling my parents, like, I'm gonna drop this class, but it ended up being fine because I formed a group of friends to study with, and yeah, I powered through and I got a good enough grade in it. I'd say like freshman fall was tough, trying to do that while also trying to join clubs. Clubs can be kind of difficult to join sometimes at Berkeley, and also just trying to balance my social life. And I would say that another like difficulty I've faced perhaps is like this semester, I feel like as a sophomore there's so much more pressure to get, you know, an internship or have that professional development, and it's been of course tough trying to figure out what my niche is and trying to get those jobs as like an underclassman. So I would say like freshman and sophomore year there was definitely like professional and academic stressors that were tough to get through, but eventually got through this.
I would say this past week has definitely had a lot of ups and downs, a few more downs than I would have liked to. I think being at Berkeley, because it is so academically competitive, just people are very driven and people are very ambitious. The students that attend this school are incredibly ambitious, incredibly hardworking, super driven. Like, we all kind of had to be at the top of our high school classes or even our CCs to come to this school. So it kind of makes sense why there's so much competition. But because of that, I think I end up comparing myself a lot to people around me. I'm sure everyone feels this way at some moment in their life. I think this week in particular has been definitely more difficult because I've had, you know, midterms coming up because classes are ending in a week. My finals are in about 2 weeks as well. I'm still seeking internships for this summer and even like next summer, because that's when you have to start recruiting for consulting things as well. And oftentimes like club opportunities might not work out. So I think sometimes, especially this week, it kind of felt like I was getting rejection after rejection after rejection, which definitely took a toll on myself in a way. But I think part of this that makes Berkeley like a really stressful environment, it's also like at the same time Berkeley is kind of like what helped me get through it, like just coming out in like nature, just like talking to people like you, and it gets me out of that negative headspace. And I think like life is always going to be so stressful and I'm always going to compare myself in one way or another, but genuinely just like talking to people and my friends and my like, I don't know, colleagues or whatever, it makes me feel a lot supported too.
Toughest moment so far? Whoa, that's a good question. I think the toughest moment for me coming to Berkeley, well, first of all, like, start with the environment. I think the toughest thing is getting used to like the startup culture here, because it's very much like if you don't have the discipline to like chase what you want or like get the resources you want, like no one's gonna give it to you. And I think it's especially prevalent at Berkeley because you don't have that much guidance. Like literally in the very first few months of, not your first few, like your first week of like getting accepted and like searching for classes and having to figure out like how the fuck it works. Like
That's the best way to put it. How the fuck it works.
like, I came from like a small high school, so I knew everyone and like they were like sort of like support me throughout. But here's like, even if you go to advisor, like sometimes you come out the conversation, you're like, I learned nothing from that. Like they told me nothing. So I think that's the biggest struggle there. And then I think backgrounding that too, when I came to college, being an international student is expensive. Like everyone knows it, but I don't think you really feel it until you get here and you realize, fuck, like how am I gonna pay tuition for the next like couple of semesters or something like that? And like you're trying to handle all of your social life, like handle your academics, like get those freaking internships, whatever. So I think like fully settling into independence was the biggest struggle for me. when people say competitive, usually people are like the backstabby competitive, like explicitly competitive, and you're like, oh, I'm better than you, and like you're like trying to. I think it's more implicit as well.
It's more competitive internally.
Yeah.
You feel you need to be like doing something better every time.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like anyone. Okay, obviously I can't say people have the stories, but like Haas or like CS being super like competitive. Like yeah, obviously those are cases of that. But I think in general, just that atmosphere of like you just hear like people celebrating like, oh, I got this internship at like Apple as a freshman. I'm like, yeah. Also like the culture, like STEM culture. I know CS is big over here, but like when I came, I had no idea what it was. Cause like my school has like no CS anything related, and it's just so prevalent in like the Bay Area in San Francisco and like Silicon Valley, obviously. Like I heard about it, but I didn't really realize how present it was until I got here. So
I have to say that I've been very like blessed in the sense that I didn't really struggle, for example, in my classes, because I come from a community college in which I was in the honors program. So I was always like kind of like having like way more assignments that I should have, and I also would put myself into different like extracurriculars to get prepared for college. So academically it was easy. I think one of the toughest moments were more mentally, and I wrote about this in one of the articles for the magazine that I interned, which was mental health for students. So homesickness hit me in the middle of my first semester, and that was tough for me because since I moved to the country, it was my family and myself. I didn't even have as many friends because I didn't know the language when I moved here. And then being in UC Berkeley, like it's such a nice environment. Everyone is nice to you, but sometimes it's hard to connect with people if you don't know like certain ways of talking, the slang,
the dialects and stuff.
Exactly, like what's trendy.
And I understand you so much.
Exactly. So it was hard, and I did feel a lot of homesickness. It's also hard to like find people that relate to how you're feeling. As Latinas, you know, our family dynamics, at least in my home, like we're a very tight nuclear family. We go everywhere together. But it's a couple bucks in there, and it's not as if I could just see my family. And after being years just like with my family, being here by myself, I'm not having the social skills at the beginning to kind of like put myself out there was what hit me the most. I think that also like made me put myself out there more, and that's why now it's not hard at all. I think that the first thing I would recommend to anyone transferring is do find clubs and organizations that you're interested in. Time when you're transferring to university is so limited. We're graduating this semester, and I feel that I just got used to being in Berkeley after 2 years, and it's like, oh, it's already off. Make the most out of your time. For me, was finding what I always wanted to do, but I was always afraid to, because when you're a student, you can take more risks than when you're outside of college, right? So I always wanted to do writing. So I found an online magazine, and I joined, and I loved it. And then I learned so much about myself. Then I also always wanted to explore the business side of film industry. So I joined another like business organization. Along the way, when you're meeting people, you start to realize things that you like and you never really explored. And I think that as a transfer, sometimes we think that we always have a clock, you know, ticking behind our ears. But it's okay. It's not as if we're missing on it. We just have 2 years earlier in a different way that prepared us for it. The hardest thing was trying to find those renowned internships. So what made the whole transition easier was like going to the career center, going to for my case a transfer center. You also have the EOP center, like first generation center. There's so many centers and resources on campus that people don't really talk about. I came here without having a LinkedIn or a resume. Now I have it on point.
We're completing this degree, and that's the important thing.
Yes, we're graduating.
Yeah.
My toughest moment here at Berkeley was just figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. Coming into Berkeley, I'm still a psychology major, but I still was unaware of what to do as like a career goal. So my first semester was like the hardest adjusting because of all the stories you hear. It's like how competitive it is. Like people sabotage each other. People get depressed here. It's cold in the Bay. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then also coming in as a transfer student, you feel that your time is cut in half. I feel like you don't get to experience a lot of like the freshman and sophomore activities that people talk about, like living in a dorm. You just have like 2 years, you're in and you're out. Finding my path and like my future goals, I think that was my toughest moment here at Berkeley. Everyone seems to have it together, but it's all a facade. But like literally nobody knows what they're doing here. Like I don't think anybody does. I mean, there might be, but I feel like they might be lying to themselves low-key. I eventually joined clubs here on campus, and I was able to really find a career goal that I could do something with my passions. I think coming back from a first-generation low-income background, we have this pressure of becoming a doctor, engineer, lawyer. Like our parents want us to have these big names. For me as a creative person, there's like, oh, like you want to do something creative in like the entertainment industry. Like they're like, oh, like that's not big enough. Like tell me X, Y, and Z. Like there's nobody who's doing it that big from an immigrant family background. But now I think for me, I really had to like, it was just a battle within myself to pursue something for me and not for my family. Now I'm very happy about the trajectory of where I'm going in my life. I'm going to be pursuing something in marketing, maybe social media, I don't know, love fashion, love entertainment, love tech, anything of that sort.
Honestly, this semester has been one of the hardest semesters of my life. Like there's been 2 years in my life that I've been like, oh, these have been the most difficult times. And that was the end of my senior year and the end of my sophomore year. This semester, I will say honestly, like a lot of the things that were difficult were not because of UC Berkeley. However, they were, I guess, like made worse by the fact that the school is difficult. This semester, I'll be very, like, I guess, like frank, but I lost a family member, and then I went through a breakup and a car accident all within like 24 hours. Like all of this was happening like very fast, and I was just really, really struggling to be okay. Like there was just a lot of really difficult things that were going on in my life. Like I was trying to find housing at the same time while trying to do my academics. But then all of this was happening while I was working a job at the DA's office, doing my like academics and then doing research. I was crumbling under all of this pressure because it's just like, usually I understand like my workload is heavy and I can usually hold it together because I know I chose this workload. Like this is my choice and I enjoy being busy. But when difficult things happen, like things in your life happen that you can't control, then you really start to crumble under pressure. And I was spending so much time on like all these other things, but I was over my extending myself on all fronts, and it just like, I feel like Berkeley doesn't stop for you when your life like needs a pause. And that is one thing that is probably true about everywhere. But the classes here are hard. I will say that like 100% with full confidence, and that is one thing that is difficult, but it's also one thing that's going to prepare you for like a future life when like other like when other like shitty things happen in your life and you have to keep pushing. And I will say that's what this semester's taught me the most. But one of my most difficult times has been like this semester when I've really been struggling and just like life did not go on hold for me. It was just like classes just kept going, like the papers kept coming, like research like assignments kept on rolling in, like my job kept on asking more of me, and it was just like, it was a lot.
Sometimes
but
you feel like you're clinging on to
you're-
shit,
I
and
was-
you're like, I need a break where you can stop.
Dude, there's 1 day left in the semester and I'm so ready for it to be over. Yeah, I'm just so thankful to all of my friends, like all of my roommates and all like of my like club friends, as well as like all of my friends who like are not in clubs with me.
You're doing.
They've been so supportive, and like honestly, I don't want to say a good semester, but it's been so much better because of them. Like all of my friends have been absolutely great.
I didn't expect how much change I would also undergo in college. Part of that was just like immaturing. I had a bit of that immature mentality of having to instantly click with people and having to have friendships that were more juvenile in that sense. But once in college, I was in situations where acquaintances and people that I was talking to were a lot more transactional, like in terms of working on homework together, sharing notes, and similar things. I thought that those were opportunities to make friends, which it of course can be, but other instances it wasn't. It was tough to realize that not everyone wanted to be my friend, and I think I had to come to terms with that. I'm a person that easily gets attached, and it was tough for me, even just going semester to semester, like realizing I will never see like these people again. And I think also being diligent about keeping the friendships that did matter. Learning where there's any kind of reciprocated friendships is good, and also not taking it too hard, because again, like people outgrow each other and it's not anyone's fault.
I think club recruitment was a very daunting and shocking experience at UC Berkeley. I have heard other schools having very similar systems where there are a lot of application and interview processes that come to getting into a club itself. I think at a large school, especially your first year, you just want to find a community really fast and a lot of people you want to bond with really fast. And clubs are a really great way to do that. But if you do get rejected from a club, honestly, rejection is redirection. You will find the club that fits your vibe, meets your expectations, and has a community that you'll really bond with. I think the main thing is that if you're really struggling or don't know how to start with that application process, you can definitely reach out to a lot of different upperclassmen. It doesn't really matter what major you're in when you're applying to clubs. You shouldn't be afraid to ask other current Berkeley students for advice about navigating anything that you might feel like is challenging. And I think at first it's hard to ask others for help. And I think you should realize that it's okay to ask for help. If anything, they're very happy to just help you out because everyone loves giving out advice.
I think on a very practical level, I wish I knew it was a lot colder than I expected. I'm from SoCal, so maybe that makes a difference, but it can be deceivingly sunny here sometimes, and when you go outside, it's quite breezy. So I would definitely say stock up on some warmer clothes because I didn't have that. On a more deeper school level, I wish I knew that the clubs were pretty competitive. They require you to go through multiple levels of interviews or social mixers, or some of them at least. So that's something I didn't expect, especially coming, as a freshman with not that much experience practically in actual jobs or like actual industries. More just like I got an A in my English class, coming to Berkeley and like wanting to join all these really cool shiny clubs and then having a hard time like doing so because of that lack of experience. So I would definitely say that was something that caught me by surprise. But I will say that there are also clubs that are more beginner friendly, and there are also a lot of organizations that are not even professional development. To anybody who is like just entering Berkeley, just open your, range of like what you're interested in, and like try and just join a range of organizations, not just the ones that seem shiny or cool. But yeah, it's something that definitely caught me off guard.
I wish I looked into perhaps the majors a little bit more. For example, I knew that I was going to be a business major, but I didn't actually know a lot about media studies. Like, I wish I kind of had doubled in that. I'm like trying to rush and finish the classes, but I don't know if I'll be able to. Once again, half of my college career is already done, so there's not a lot I can do, and I'm trying my best. But I would encourage anyone that's thinking about committing to Berkeley to really thoroughly look through all the majors and minors. There's such a variety of different minors and even certificates, but you definitely do have to take the time into your own hands to do research. I think that information isn't always like provided to you really open.
My own plug here, but there are a lot of things that I wish I knew. Like, I did my research, and not even that research was enough to find more about the other things that are available at the school.
I don't really know, because like I came like what I wish I knew. I feel like I set myself up for like I'm starting completely new regardless, so my mind was very open. I don't think I really had a preconception of it before. I just knew it was going to be tough and I was going to be really independent, and then I just threw myself into that. You have to be very independent, but that's like in colleges in general.
I don't look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be tough,
that's true,
but not impossible.
Yeah, don't feel bad about homesickness, because I was tired of Vancouver. I'm sorry, I hated Vancouver. Like, I lived there for like 12 years and I was like, I cannot stay in this place any longer, so I was excited to leave. But then I came here and I was like, I guess I regretted not treasuring home a lot more, because there are things that you feel very connected to and like you feel grounded that you don't really realize until you leave. So I say, I guess, don't forget all the experiences that built you before you come, because that's all part of it.
I wish I knew about study abroad. My biggest regret not doing study abroad.
Me too.
Because I think that, you're young. You want to explore the world. Sometimes it's expensive, but study abroad is the cheapest way of, for example, going to Europe, spending a whole semester in there, traveling within Europe. It's like cheaper in comparison to traveling from here to there. And you can take such fun classes. Like, I'm a film major. I could have gone to France and take my French film classes in there. like that would have been amazing. And it's one of those things that you have to apply with months earlier, like in advance. So I wish I knew about that. So at least my first semester would have been a study abroad. I also wish I knew that I have the time. I think that as a transfer, I was always thinking that I was never gonna have the time to make connections, to make friends, to explore the Bay, to travel, to focus on my classes, to have extracurriculars, to do all of these things. So the first semester I would put so much effort and I would validate myself on my A's. That's not healthy for you at all. And also like I think that like college is a time you are enjoying while also being responsible, and you have to find that balance. At the beginning I didn't know how to find it. I put all of my effort just academically. I think there's something wrong with it, but then when you're graduating, sometimes you're like, oh, I could have done this during that time too, because I didn't need to be so overstressed. And then office hours. Everyone talks about it like, oh yeah, you can go to office hours, but they're very helpful. I'm an immigrant, so English is not my first language, and sometimes like probably you can tell by the interview I don't have the most extended vocabulary when talking. When writing is different because that's what kind of like you're trained when you learn the language to go to college. When you go to office hours, you can have professors helping you with the class to understand certain topics. I wish I knew that before coming so I could take advantage of it, because every single professor that you're gonna have, they're just so knowledgeable on their topics. So like that's something. Yeah.
Something that I wish I knew about UC Berkeley, how many unique and creative people there are, how many creative and unique programs there are. Ever since like my junior year of high school, I was just so committed to psychology. I was like, oh, like I love this like AP class. Like I just like did it so well. Like anything I did in AP Psych, I was like, oh my, this is like my calling. My calling is to do psychology. It just came to me so naturally. I never allowed myself to explore other like majors, but I wish I did more research about the different programs there are. Like for example, like data science, really cool. I would not, for me, like when you think of like tech, oh, you think of computer science, well, like nobody really knows data science, or at least personally, I didn't know. I didn't know there's media studies here. I really didn't even look into like the Berkeley Haas program and how prestigious it actually is. So these are like 3 majors that I wish I did. Like again, media studies, data science, Haas, and I'm a psych major. So maybe just like combining all these majors would have been super cool. I need to do more research. I think that was definitely something I should have done. So if you're deciding on schools of where you want to go, like really like look into like the nitty gritty of what the school offers, such as like programs or resources, even study abroad as well. I wish I did study abroad. It's hard as a transfer student, but it's definitely doable.
That's a good question. I guess like that nothing is ever going to pan out like you expect it to pan out. I feel like everyone says this. You always come into college with like some ideal like way of how you think it's going to turn out. Like you're going to have like these types of friends, you're going to do these activities, you're going to join these clubs, and you're going to take these classes, and you're going to do well. And that's what everybody thinks that they're going to do when you get to college. But like, it's just like everything changes so fast, and like college is just so spontaneous, I'd say. Like you'll always be doing things that you never expect yourself to be doing. So never close yourself off to different opportunities. All of these things that I do now are never things that I would have, like if I turned back the clock 5 years, never would have expected myself to be doing this. Like I joined a business club. Like that's crazy. Like BCC stands for Business, Careers, and Entertainment, and I joined because I like sports, and I got to work on a really cool project with the Giants, and I got to like help out with a really cool project with the Chargers. But I never expected myself to be running a business club. I love media work. I love leading, and I also really love, I guess, like sports. I already knew that, but like I'd say like you expand your interests. You never lose them, but you always expand your interests. And I definitely would say college always expands your interests.
In the moments of where you're feeling a bit discouraged, remember your background and how you got here in the first place. Finding motivation in that can push you to find a renewed sense of motivation. Like for me, I'm doing this for my family, part of a first generation looking at a sense of more Latinos receiving an education and graduating college.
I would tell future Golden Bears that there are going to be a lot of ups and downs. I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's definitely not a linear journey. You should understand that everyone has a different timeline. You shouldn't compare yourself to others. And if you ever need someone to talk to, or if you need guidance or advice, you honestly can reach out to me. I'm sure you would be also willing to help out. Oh my god, yeah, just reach out to me. I literally love helping students out any way I can. You are too, especially with what you're doing today. I think you should just reach out and we're happy to help.
To not chase after another path or like someone else's goal, I think it's really easy to get swept up in that kind of culture when you're surrounded by so much like shininess, I guess, like with other people working with huge companies or like really cool clubs that you might want to join, and just like seeing all these really cool experiences that you wish you could have. Just don't let that sway what you're actually passionate about, and just keep on your track, because I think sometimes it's easy to, you know, be distracted by other people's pursuits and want to do that too, but I feel like it can just make you stressed out and make you feel like you're not doing something that's true to yourself. So I would definitely say be true to yourself and realize that sometimes the most impactful experiences are not the most impressive ones. Sometimes launching your own passion project might be more impactful than, you know, doing something small for a really big company. So yeah, just stay true to yourself and don't undermine any experiences that you have.
Any future Golden Bears, first of all, go Bears. I do love this school. And there's sometimes where I'm like, did I make the right choice in coming here, as I mentioned earlier? Because it really is stressful, but I know that like we're all gonna get through it at some point. I think you kind of have to realize that like you got into the school for a reason, like you worked so hard, and maybe just like not getting, you know, that internship or whatever, it really doesn't define you. Not even like not getting a club position, because I hope whoever's watching this, like you are so capable in so many ways that you're doing, and whatever that you're doing in your life. There is like more to life than just like school and work, and obviously you might have come to Berkeley for the academics, but also just like take the time to really focus on your social life. Make sure you're like maintaining a healthy balance of not only prioritizing academics but also your mental health and meeting new people, just like taking the opportunities. I think my freshman fall, my grades were really good, but socially I was not having a good time at Berkeley. And I was unsure if this was the best fit for me. Whereas now I think I found a more healthy balance of, you know, like my academics are still very important to me and I do place a lot of emphasis on them. But without like my social network and my friends, I would not be like as happy as I am. So just balance it and everything will be okay in the end, I promise.
Everything will work out.
Good luck. Any future Golden Bears, sleep while you can. It's going to be competitive and it's going to be tough, and you're gonna go through a lot, and you're gonna be like worrying about your futures every single moment you're here, because everyone's like a competitive atmosphere, right? But I think the one thing that's kept me grounded is like just focus on doing your best like every single day. College is really volatile. Like I've become a new person in the last 2 months. I was a completely different person last semester, and the semester before that, and the semester before that, and it's on like too many stages, right? So I think like, yes, like worry, but also just focus on the things you can control. Stay present in the present.
Stay grounded in the present.
Exactly. Awesome. And yeah, like when you look back, of course you're gonna be a lot of things that you'll regret, like, oh, why didn't I do this sooner? Or like, why don't I have this experience with someone else? But I feel like as long as you just try your best in your given moment, then in the future you won't really regret, like, what you've done. You tried your best. That's all. Not everyone knows what they're doing, and that's like fine.
No, I will say take advantage, and if you can, come here, enjoy it, make the most, and surround yourself with people that believe in you. Because in any kind of new setting that you're going to be, you have to learn how to discern between which friendships to take and which friendships not to take. I think that sometimes when you're a new student, you want to like just party every day, and even though it's part of college, you have to learn how to balance it. So I will say for any new Golden Bear, like learn your balance and find it and embrace it. Don't just seclude yourself either in parties or books. Find the middle ground so you can have the best of both worlds. And also, I will say go to the botanical garden. I only discovered that last week and it's so good.
Really?
Yeah, and it's free. Go to the gym, it's free. I was here 2 years and I only went 5 times. And that's a whole of money that I could have used by just going.
I guess this video is to show like the good and bad about Berkeley. No institution is going to be perfect. There's definitely going to be problems at any school you go to. But I think at Berkeley, definitely take time to like expose yourself to new opportunities and new experiences. I've invested myself in like clubs such as like a business organization. I've invested myself in a like creative organization. I don't know, I was a psych major. I was gonna come into Berkeley being a researcher, like I'm gonna be like a therapist, like, you know, like the generic psych stuff. But I was able to apply all of my previous knowledge and passions into new creative outlets like a business club. So I say definitely join organizations here on campus. Always say yes to things. Like if your roommate or friend wants to go out, say yes, because you want to value your 4 years here at Berkeley or however long it takes you here. It's just an opportunity that you won't get back again. And don't always compare yourself to others. It is so hard to compare yourself here because they're just so competitive. Everyone's getting internships. It's very hard to like really like separate yourself and not try to look like this person who has it all together. Everyone's on their own path. Everyone's on their own journey. Take it at your pace and your speed. Don't make it feel rushed, you know. Low-key, I wish I did another year, but for financial reasons, I cannot. But if you can, definitely just explore new things here and yeah, just go best for life, I guess.
Ooh, first of all, congratulations. Congratulations for sure. Like, this is not an easy feat. The acceptance rates get lower and lower each year. So really, congratulations. Second of all, you're gonna love it here. I really do think that you will. It isn't for everyone, but I will say that if you really love a bustling city and you love always having something around you that's going on, you're going to love it here. Yeah, join VCs. Yeah, so I'd say join clubs, but join clubs that like you'll be interested in, because honestly, that's where you're gonna get the most social interaction. That's where you're gonna make the most friends. Join other groups. Like, don't just join professional clubs. Like, just join everything during your freshman year, but don't overextend yourself. Always know your limits, and always like make sure that you come first. So spend the first semester of your college like career, I guess, like while also focusing on your classes, spend it making friends. 3 years. I don't have 4 years left. For the next 4 years, you're gonna need a large support system, and I currently feel like I definitely have a lot of people that I can count on, and that's because I definitely tried to make friends my freshman year, and I'd say that's the most important thing. But yeah, if you're also coming in as a transfer, just know that there's a very strong community there as well. There's a lot of people who are there to support you, a lot of people who will welcome you. So I will say that, like, honestly, Berkeley is great. Never close your eyes to any opportunities, and enjoy like your next 4 years or your next 2 years or your next 3 years here if you graduate early. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.